Mike, I know you'd rather be speaking to us under different circumstances, but I guess what is the emotions after an incredible fight like that?
Disappointment, of course, but alive. I mean, Madison Square Garden, huge opportunity, number 2 guy in the world. At some point, you're like, I went out there, I did everything I possibly could. In any endeavor in life, if you do everything that you possibly can, and the cards don't fall your way, it's part of it. But I wanted to show too that I was going to come here after a loss, just like I have after a win. I made a point of it, and here I am talking to you guys, and we'll go back to the drawing boards and keep on getting after it.
Well, appreciate doing that. I mean, obviously, people always say, well, Chandler's going to come out quick, but then he's going to fade early. But, you actually won the second round. Some momentum was shifting your way. I mean, do you take any solace, I guess, and maybe that you prove that's a bad narrative?
Yeah, I do. But then you start to think, well, shoot, that makes it even worse, So, because I was. And, I think it's just, man, this is such a game of inches. That's why y'all love it. That's why everybody in that arena was blowing off the roof tonight. This is just such a beautiful sport, and the UFC does it the best. And these platforms that we get, the opportunities that we have, are going to live on forever, But one more sleep, I get to go home and be dad and husband for a little while, and it's going to be fun.
You didn't have to go to the hospital, right? I mean, you're here.
I didn't. Healthy as an ox, baby.
Nice. You guys did share some words after. It was kind of a weird build-up, sometimes nice, sometimes bad. I guess what was said afterwards, did you guys put everything behind?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say what was said because I'm not here to talk about, put that out there. It's between he and I. I did go over there to be a man of my word. I said win, lose, or draw. I would shake his hand and be respectful after. And something was said, and I didn't really like it. So we're still friends. / enemies / whatever we are. We're not really sure what we are.
So he said something in the moment that kind of upset you.
I mean, it wasn't as graceful in victory as I would have been, or I would have liked. Yeah. But don't have expectations of other people. They'll always just let you down.
Last thing for me. I mean, I know right now all you want is probably some family time, right? But do you think about where you go? Because it's like, okay, maybe this slows down a title run right now, but clearly you've shown that you can be in there with anybody in the division. It's going to be an exciting fight. So, I mean, where do you see the trajectory from here?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think I've just come in and earned my spot as the guy who was willing to say yes to every single very, very tough opponent. I mean, look at my strength of the schedule. My first 5 fights in the UFC. So at this point, we'll go back to the drawing boards. There's no there's no secret. There's no doubt that I'm not one of the guys who can put butts in seats for sure. Still got one dude on my mind. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mike, to your right, to your far right. What do you do, like following up sort of on what you were just saying to John, what do you do right now? You're 2-3. You fought 5 of the best guys in the world. Do you have to change your style a little bit, do you think? Or is this the way the coin flips when you're fighting the best?
It's a good question. I mean, it takes time in any endeavor to really see the fruits of your labor in action, and I think mixed martial arts is one of those. I think I've worked on defense. I think you saw that. Shades of it tonight. I've worked on wrestling more. I think you saw shades of that. I've worked on footwork and angles and covering up and different things. You saw shades of that. You guys get to see 15 minutes of 15 weeks of each training camp compiled on top of each other, and you just hope that it's able to come out. Game plans and strategies and all that kind of stuff. So to answer your question, I'm happy with my performance, except for the fact that I lost.
You have always had that optimism that you're going to get back up to the top. But is this the part of the sport that sucks? You look at what happened to Izzy in the main event. Carla, is a 2-time champion, and she gets submitted like that. I mean, is this the hard part to accept of the sport, that you can be the absolute best in the world and still may not win?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but this is this is just a manifestation of, it's a metaphor for life. This is what life is, though, and we get to do it in front of millions of people, and we get to be put on a platform, and it's happiness, and it's pain, and it's turmoil, and it's the ups and the downs all rolled into one. And I've said it since the beginning. At the very end of it, my God still loves me, my family still loves me, and I still love me, and that's where I'm at. And we live to fight another day, and we recalibrate and see.
Mike's over here, right here in the corner. You said at media day that fighting in Madison Square Garden, the crowd makes you kind of want to fight a certain way, regardless of the game plan. Did you kind of fall into that again after that first round?
I don't know. I have to go back and watch the fight, honestly. Couldn't hear my coaches again. Dadgum, man. I'm probably never fighting here again. All right, Chris, tell the brass I'm never fighting here again. All right, third time. I'm 0-3 here. 2 other times I left in an ambulance. So, no, I'm just joking. New York City is a very great city. Madison Square Garden is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's what you want. Like I've said, is a blessing and the curse. The biggest stage possible, the brightest lights possible, the biggest promotion possible, the number 2 guy in the world, the highest stakes, title implications, all of that. And all of that was shattered when I lost. So.
And then the conversation you had, that you don't have to go into details or anything, but Dustin also seemed to be complaining about fouls in there. Did it have something to do with that, what he said to you?
Yes, I will admit, yes, his mouth was open and my hand went inside of there and was on his mouthpiece. He bit down. I was trying to pull it out. It wasn't as though I was trying to pull it out and he was biting it and I couldn't get it out. It was more just the angle. I mean, you're getting pushed up against the cage. I mean, it's just, and then there was, I think that was, and then the other thing was when Dan Murgulata was saying I was hitting him in the back of the head. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch it, to be honest with you. But I know I was catching his ear, or at least in my mind, I was catching his ear. So we had that kind of conversation. So y'all know I ain't a cheater. I love this game. I don't cheat.
When you were on top, the camera kind of panned in. It looked like you blew your nose on him with all the blood. Is that what happened?
I gotta rocket up my nose right now, trying to keep it stopping from bleeding. I mean, it was, if I wanted to breathe, that blood needed to come out. So I mean, it wasn't a malicious weird thing, but it was definitely like, hey man, sorry you're down there, but I didn't create gravity. I did. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly.
Mike, just one quick one. You said there's still one guy on your mind. Is it safe to assume that's Conor McGregor?
Of course, man. I mean, I think at this point, he comes back and he looks at the suitors. I don't think I'm the easiest fight that he could take, but I do think I'm the biggest fight that he could take. I think Conor McGregor stepping back in the octagon does big numbers no matter what. But he and I step inside the octagon, we do staggering numbers. I do think that. And I respect him. We'll love to see him come back. Maybe I'm the guy that comes back and fights.
What would be your message to him to, I guess, jump in that USADA pool? Because it sounds like he's going to need 6 months of testing before he can fight. Yeah,
get on it, man. We all know that fighting is his first love. Exactly 6 years ago today, November 12th, 2016, he became the double champ, and he apologized to absolutely nobody, and it was absolutely awesome. He's a legend in the sport, man. He's the biggest name in the sport. It was bad enough we had to compete with Bentleys and Bugattis and boats and $100 million whiskey companies. Now we got to compete with the silver lights and the silver screens and bright lights of Hollywood, man. But come back to your first love, Conor. Step inside the octagon with me.
Michael, to your right. Can I toss another name out to you?
Sure.
You had an unbelievable rivalry with Eddie Alvarez. He's now a free agent. Any chance you talk to the brass, bring him back, and finish that up?
That's not a bad idea either. I mean, Eddie's, when you talk about, obviously Frankie Edgar today, I just love the dude. Just amazing pioneer of the sport. Eddie, the same thing. Eddie and I have got some history. Eddie and I have made some magic in there. Eddie was a former UFC champion. I would love to see him come back here and get thrown back into the mix. And there ain't no way that he and I are not fighting if he comes back to the UFC. So I love the idea of that fight. I mean, obviously, I'm not throwing in the towel here by any means. I still think I'm one fight away from still being possibly called up for the title shot. But at this point, I need to get another win inside the top 5 or top 3, and we'll see.
In the middle.
Yes, sir.
You had a number of opportunities, it looked like, to maybe get your arm under the chin for a rear naked, and it just never seemed to coalesce. Strategically, maybe you need to look at the video, but was there something that you weren't able to do that you're like, God damn, I wish I was able to get such and such? Like,
yeah, no,
walk
actually,
us through it.
Yeah, no, that's actually really horrible to hear because I think I trained a lot of rear naked chokes there. I think it was the positioning, and I mean, blood was everywhere. Goodness gracious, it's so hard to actually tell you how slippery it is when blood and sweat mix on skin. It's crazy from a being on top leverage standpoint. So no, yeah, I'll probably go back and say, well, you blew that one, Michael, because I did think that I was going to be able to rear naked choke him. I actually had visions and visualized myself rear naked choking Dustin this camp, and turns out he did to me. Fudge.
And Michael, back here.
Yes, sir.
5 fights that you had so far in the UFC, 5-star classics. Is it hard to see the positives right now, what you have accomplished thus far in the UFC, considering you haven't won the championship? Or is it easy to see the positives and also see the negatives and work on the negatives?
Yeah, no, it's not hard to see. Honestly, I'm 36 years old now. I've been through a lot, and I will continue to move forward with complete disregard to my previous failures, my future opposition, and anything that stands in my way. I've gotten to the point now where, man, I'm just living the dream.
Yeah.
This is my second career. Yeah. I had one career outside the UFC, and now I have a new career inside the UFC, and I am absolutely living the dream.
Absolutely.
And enjoying it.
Awesome. And you can play every sport with one ball, but MMA takes 2. And thank you very much for always being in the cage and displaying your guts.
Yes, sir. Thank you.